If you have a loved one who's going into the criminal justice system or you're going into the criminal justice system, this is the time to start thinking about how to provide emotional support. How do you get support that's going to help somebody or help you get through the really stressful aspects of criminal investigations? I mean, there's a tremendous amount of fear and shame and uncertainty. And when you're in that really unusual stage that is just, I hope, an aberration in your life, right? You may not have all of the strong critical thinking skills that you need. So you want to build a support system around you that will help you make better decisions, that will help you stay calm to the extent that that's possible, to stay steady, to stay present, to understand, okay, where am I and how am I going to get through this? And I really don't think the answer is to hire a prison consultant or somebody who has a vested interest in extracting money from you when you're in your most vulnerable stage. But that's what a lot of people do. Instead, you and your team, your family, your closest people around you, you're going to have a defense attorney, and you should only speak about your case with a defense attorney. But a criminal charge doesn't only involve judicial matters. It involves, everything in your life is changing. And you've got to figure out, okay, how am I going to make good decisions that are going to help me, that are going to get me through this and get me to the other side? I remember when I was arrested, it was August the 11th, 1987, and my defense attorney told me there's a big difference between an indictment and a conviction, and with the right amount of money, you could win. He was telling me what I wanted to hear rather than what I needed to hear. What I needed to hear was the facts of what am I going to face? What's coming? Instead, he would tell me to not get involved and not do anything. But the reality is, when authorities bring a criminal charge against somebody, there's a lot more than just the judicial implications. Life is changing. Life will forever be changed because in this era of technology, a report or a criminal charge is going to linger in the in cyberspace, and anybody's going to be able to find it. So because of all of this, it's important to figure out a pathway to build this emotional support around you so that you could start making really good decisions, not only pertaining to the case. I made bad decisions pertaining to my case, but I also made bad decisions pertaining to my life, right? I made bad decisions because I knew that I was guilty, but I wanted to believe what my attorney told me. I wanted to believe that I wasn't going to, that he was going to prevail in a trial. And so I made a series of really bad decisions judicially, but I also made really bad decisions personally. I lied to my family and denied that I had broken the law when in fact I was a coke trafficker. And as a cocaine trafficker, I broke the law every day for the entire duration that I was in that space. I was only 20 years old when I started, but at 23, I wasn't ready to accept responsibility. And I didn't know enough. So I would really encourage you to spend time learning. Read about other people who have gone through the journey. Figure out how did they get through. And look for people who are not charging you anything. Okay? Don't hire somebody who's going to tell you what you want to hear. You're going to need a defense attorney. That you can't escape. Right? A defense attorney is going to help you architect your strategy through the judicial process, whether it is going to trial, as I did, which was a mistake, or pleading guilty, which is probably what more than 80% of the people do. They engage in a pretrial hearing. But you have to be making really good decisions all the time because this is a very serious part of your life. Right? You could always make more money. If you're in business or you're a career guy, right, you can always build new businesses and make more money, but you can never get your time back. Okay? There are lifelong ramifications that come with a criminal conviction. In my case, they're severe because I had a very long sentence. I was in prison for 26 years. As a result, I never had a child. I lost my 20s, 30s, and 40s in prison. But I found ways to build something better. I found the love of my life in prison. I got married. I made money in prison. I built a career when I came home. And now I get to do what I want to do, which is help more people figure out how to become the CEO of their life and how to architect a strategy that will lead to something better. How do you do that? Well, you need to understand the system. And if you're a loved one who's supporting somebody who's going through it, you've got to give them that support. Don't tell them what they want to hear. Tell them what what they need to hear. Tell them you're going to be there for them. Assist them in making good decisions, because sometimes when somebody's in that vulnerable position, they may do things that they should not do. They may destroy records or alter records. All of that can lead to obstruction of justice charges and make things harder, right? So let them know you don't have to talk to law enforcement. Okay, you can always take the Fifth Amendment and refuse to cooperate or talk to law enforcement at all. But if you do talk to law enforcement, make sure that you're honest, because they are very skilled. Law enforcement officers are very skilled at getting you to elicit information that you may not realize is going to be used against you, or you may omit information that could expose you to charges that you've lied by omission, which could lead to obstruction of justice and more severe sanctions. So organize all of your material and help your loved one organize material. Create a timeline of events, right? Build a pathway that will help you communicate more effectively with your defense attorney. But just always remember, transparency and honesty go a long ways toward getting you to the next chapter of your life. And, obfuscation and lying and manipulation can lead to a more severe sanction. Remember that the people that have been investigating you, they've got a lot more experience at this than you do. And they've been not only in terms of knowing the job, but also in terms of knowing you and your crime. They've invested hundreds of hours before they ever brought a case against you in most cases. And they know what you don't know. So make sure that you work to understand the system, and make sure that you work to use all of your critical thinking skills. You want to make sure that if you're a loved one supporting somebody, encourage them not to speak with anybody unless they have an attorney present. Family and friends, you should avoid casual conversations with your loved one about the case, because you could be subpoenaed and forced to testify in court, which can expose you to criminal penalties. You don't want to be posting on social media about the case without really understanding what you're doing and what the fallout could be. You could spend more time in prison because of not necessarily because of the crime, but because of the way you responded to the crime. When you're working with defense attorney or assessing which defense attorney you should hire, make sure that you've got a really solid plan to communicate with that defense attorney and follow that advice. Once you make a decision, recognize that your defense attorney has more experience than you, but also recognize you have a role in your defense, and you should work to develop a mitigation strategy in the event that there's a sentencing hearing. And if it's in federal court, there's a very good chance that a sentencing hearing is going to follow. So family members can help you by assisting with your daily logistics, because there are going to be times when you feel like you have no time. You have to be helping your lawyer learn about the case. You're going to have to start thinking about mitigation strategies, such as gathering character reference letters and building a comprehensive mitigation strategy that might advance you as a candidate for a lower sentence. You want to stay involved and informed in your case, but you don't want to be totally out in the dark. You don't want to do what I did and have your attorney tell you, I'm the quarterback, I know everything's going on, you don't have to do anything. And that was really bad guidance for me. I should have been learning everything I could possibly learn about how the system operated. And although I couldn't get involved in the legal proceedings, I should have been very much involved in my mitigation proceedings. And you could learn all about how to do that on prisonofwrestlers.org for free. There's no boilerplate strategy other than saying, be honest, document your story, build a record that will advance you as a candidate for the highest level of liberty at the soonest possible time. That applies to anybody. But everybody's life is different, which is why you have to start creating it yourself. And we offer all the ways that you could do that on your own. I know that you're the CEO of your life and you can do it. If you need to talk to somebody, I'm rarely available, so I'm not going to pretend that I can take all of your calls or respond to text messages that I get or emails that I get, but I would recommend that you reach out or participate in the free interactive webinars that our sponsor offers. It's Justin Paperny. He's a friend of mine, and he offers it through his site, whitecollaradvice.com/nonprofit, if you have questions on your own. But remember, you are the CEO of your life. You can architect a strategy. I believe in you. And I want you to know that there are always more opportunities in the future than in the past, especially for those who prepare. So start preparing and be cool.